up, diehards? Wes Monell in the building for AWOL Sports, kicking it with Paul Durfee, Dill Monell. Hey, we're all just like you. We watched All-Star Weekend. The captains chilled on ice, man. KD, he's injured, we know that, but LeBron, 12 minutes, something like that. He pretty much took a night off. It was the show by Steph Curry and Dame Lillard. As for today, we're subbing off the bench and diving into the game. We want you guys to complete our roster. We need you as a fourth and fifth starter, so holler at us. All social media, you know where we're at. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the comments. That's how you get in the game. So let's do a quick three-man weave here to warm up. We were going to talk all ball, but you guys are all over NFL free agency right now. So let's just start with NFL free agency, man. We talk football, we talk basketball. This will be a basketball show. We'll get to the biggest surprise so far this season in the NBA, the biggest disappointment, and we'll see who can make a playoff push here, and then the MVP candidates. But as for football, man, you guys are firing, man. Paul, you like that Yannick Ngakoue signing by the Raiders, huh?
Yeah, you know, he's kind of been like, he doesn't seem like the type of guy who's gonna like commit to a team. He kind of likes keeping his options open. It seems like he's moved around a lot. So I like that they did it as a short-term deal because he's kind of been not the most consistent motor guy. You know, he's kind of very talented, but you don't know what you're going to get from him. So you get him on a deal for 2 year, 26 million. Not a lot of commitment at all. 13 million years, very fair. I think it was a great low risk, high reward deal for the Raiders. Love it.
I know you do, Dill. Back with Gus Bradley.
Yeah, definitely a nice reunion there. Just like Paul alluded to, talent's there. Pass rush, that's definitely his best ability there. As far as the run game, that's definitely kind of what I've been seeing some downside of. But as far as my concern at this point, adding him to the mix there with Cleveland Farrell and Max Crosby on the other side, I think it's just a good, healthy rotation of players. So, and the 2 year aspect, 13 million a year, I can't debate that. And considering some of the other money that was spent today on other pass rushers, I'm definitely going to take that deal. High risk, high reward for both sides. He's only 25 years old. And by the time his next contract runs out, if he does play that full 2 years, he's 27 looking for another big payday. So win-win for both sides, I believe.
And then I think one of you mentioned that new starting quarterback in Washington, maybe?
Oh, Fitzmagic?
It's magic.
Hey, you know what? Who knows? He might win that starting job. You never know. He wants to be a starter, so they must have told him like, hey, we'll give you a chance to start, So we'll see.
Yeah. That's what I've seen as well, that he's like the presumed starter. And but yeah, Heineken could definitely win the job. So that'll be interesting to kind of see how that unfolds.
I just don't know why they didn't roll with Alex Smith, but whatever. I mean, and then, all right, we'll touch up on one more football thing. The Patriots? Dollar bills, y'all. So they're clearly paying for that potential in Jonnu Smith, aren't they?
Yeah, I was all over that this morning. That was the first deal I saw, and I was like, man, he's getting paid. He's the third highest paid tight end now behind Kittle and Kelsey. And I think there's a fair drop off there, more than fair probably, but talent's there, super athletic guy, but didn't even get 500 yards last year. I know he had the 8 touchdowns, but not really a focal point in the offense last couple of years for Tennessee, more of just like a nice complementary weapon. So, I mean, hey, good for the Patriots if they can get the most out of him, but I feel like with his, what he's done so far, I feel like they could have got him. Maybe they couldn't have got him for less. I don't know, but now they really need that deal to work out. So, but hey, I think they did a fair job the rest of the day. Judon was a good signing, and they got our boy Jalen Mills from the Eagles. So, I mean, they had the most money going into today. I think they were number one in cap space. So, Bill don't like losing. So one losing season, and he's just like pushing all his chips to the table. I think they got Nelson Aguilar. They got Kendrick Bourne. I don't know who else. Yeah. But
Like a D tackle or something.
yeah.
I actually like all their signing. I do. I think it's smart, especially how cheap their starting quarterback comes at. What, 15 mil or something for Cam?
I thought I saw base is 5 and it can go up to 15 with incentives.
Like 14, 15. Yeah.
I think the base is pretty low.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow. All right. Hey, so we got a little bit of football out of us. I know free agency is here. So we got 4 questions today in the association. First question, Paul, who has been the biggest surprise this season in your opinion, and who's been the biggest disappointment?
So I went with the Jazz for my biggest surprise. I thought they'd be good, but they really have taken a step forward this year. And, it makes sense. They've kind of kept their core together for a while in a league where a lot of people move around. So, they've, even though Rudy and Donovan had their kind of miscommunications last year and they were word was they weren't getting along well, but, it seems they've figured out that. And, I think they got one of the best coaches in the game, super underrated. Like I said, they've kept their core intact. Donovan, Gobert, they got Ingles, who's one of the best 3-point shooters. They got Clarkson, who's got major firepower coming off the bench. They got guys like Royce O'Neal who can shoot the 3-and-D guys. They got a nice mix of players, and then Conley's just that stable veteran point guard. So they got a really nice team, and I thought they'd be good, but I'm surprised they're number 1 in point differential this year. They got the best record. I think they're top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating this year. So they've really just really taken off and showing that, like I said, they have the highest point differential in the league too. So I don't think it's a fluke. So, I think they're the best 3-point shooting team in the league too. So, I guess interesting to see them come together this quick, and then we'll see if they can carry it on through the rest of the regular season.
And you know what? Dylan picked the same team as you.
There you go.
I absolutely did. I was definitely torn between another team. Looks like we definitely might touch on them right now as well. But just like what Paul said, right? They have a good mix of their team. The thing that surprised me was just consistency, right? I think no doubt the talent was there. Jordan Clarkson definitely taking it to another level this year. So absolutely excited for him. Always root for stories like that. So just keep trying to find your niche, in the NBA, just to stick around and find the team. Everything's all about timing as well, just like life. So, but yeah, the consistency, I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me. I think they're super talented. I still can't pick them to necessarily win, but they're definitely my biggest surprise so far because of the fact that they've been so consistent. They're sitting at the top of the West. I don't think any of us 3 actually picked them to be sitting there, at least at this point in the season, nor by the end of the season, which they're still projected to, finish up at. So that's pretty impressive what they're doing, no doubt.
That's true. Agreed. I mean, I thought they would finish top 4, and you know how it goes at the All-Star break. Someone's gonna be leading their conference. We've seen the Hawks do it to the Raptors having that year. It's kind of what we see. The real test is the rest of the way for Utah. Can you finish? And and I don't mean finish the rest of the season. I'm talking about the playoffs. Absolutely agree with you guys. Utah, yeah, they're number 1 right now. The only team in the league, I believe, with single-digit losses, at least heading into the All-Star break. And I had to throw a couple teams on here to show some love. Suns, they're second in the West, right behind the Jazz that you both love right now. They're picking up where they left off in the bubble last year. Chris Paul, to be honest, he's earning my respect from last season in OKC to now in the desert, leading this young squad, getting the most out of high draft picks. And they haven't been that great. So there's a lot of high draft picks. There's Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Michael Bridges, Cam Johnson. And right now, 7 guys are scoring in double figures. That's team basketball. I like what they're doing. Do I think that's sustainable? I mean, less sustainable than Utah. That's as far as I'll go right now. I don't want to down a team that's been hot since the bubble. And look, Phoenix is finally at a point they've grown tired of acquiring more high draft picks. And now they're balling. So, second most wins in the league right now. And CP3, I think he deserves some MVP consideration for the impact. Numbers may not match up, but we'll talk about the MVP conversation actually to end the show. I also want to throw the Knicks in there. There's that guy named Julius Randle, high draft pick, questionable. I think it was seventh overall pick coming out of college with a leg injury, I believe. I was pretty right.
Yeah, first year he broke his leg.
Yep.
Yeah, I was pretty hard on him, man. But as many of us were, this is not the only team he's played for in the league. 23, 11, and 5 is what he's putting up a night. I'm impressed because it's not much of a roster, nor am I that surprised when you really think about it. What does a Tom Thibodeau team do? They grind, and they're good in the regular season.
And he plays his starters 45 minutes a game.
Yeah, guaranteed. No questions.
Absolutely. In this situation, probably has to, but I like that they traded for Derrick Rose. I know Taj Gibson, another familiar face. That's three people, Rose, Coach Tibbs, Taj, all from Chicago. So there's familiarity. They're going to bring a workers man mentality. They're going to carry it out the rest of the way. I don't know if they're going to win though, guys, but I see they're squeezing everything they can out of this lemon because I'm looking at this roster right now and I'm just saying Tibbs is doing it again, a team of who's, and I'm not talking about Dr. Seuss. I'm talking about who as in Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, Nerlens Noel. I know it was a high draft pick, Austin Rivers, Alec Burks. Look, it's not pretty, but right now they're grinding. They got the third most boards in the league, and they're shooting 12th from downtown. We know the challenges ahead, but I think that's why they traded for D Rose. Different player than he used to be, but I think he's still a good player. What do you guys think of the Suns and Knicks?
I'll go first. The Suns, I completely agree with you. They got good balance, and it's crazy to think like Chris Paul went to a team that was basically trying to tank, and he took them to the playoffs, and they almost won in the first round last year. It's like, and then he comes to Phoenix, and they're playing better than ever. So it's like, yeah, you got to put him in the MVP conversation. The dude is just like the perfect team guy, can fit any system, just like help lead the locker room, young guys. Like the guy just does it all. I mean, and a few years ago, I think, at least I thought he was kind of done because he kept getting hurt. He's always had like hamstring injuries and knee stuff flare up. But, the last couple of years, I mean, he's had a couple of games he missed, but I mean, for the most part, he's stayed pretty healthy too. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see. Phoenix hasn't been good in a while, so it's good to see them coming back. They also got my boy Dario Saric coming off the bench.
That's right.
I miss him from the Sixers, but no. But yeah, no, it's good. They're playing big time team basketball. Booker's playing, much better, more of a team guy instead of just, jacking up 30 shots a game. Now he can actually play and rely on others to help out. So, and Michael Bridges is probably one of the best 3-and-D guys now in the league. So they got a nice little mix. And in Ayton, he's not having a crazy year, but he's solid and he gives you good rim protection. So they got a nice balanced roster. And then for the Knicks, the only thing I'll add, I think you covered a lot of good topics, is, well, first off, is when is my boy Obi going to get some more playing time, man?
I was waiting for that.
Freaking Tom, he won't give any young guys some playing time. But no, I mean, and they've been doing it without Mitchell Robinson, who's starting to come into his own. He's supposed to come back in a few weeks, I think, from a hand injury. He's turning into a pretty good big guy. And I think Randall's leading the league in minutes played. Shocker. He's a new like Luol Deng who plays like 46 minutes a game. So Um, but like you said, he's putting up numbers. He's like almost a 40% 3-point shooter. So he's really expanded his game and can basically do it all, so it's crazy. And then also I'll throw out a Emmanuel quickly. He's kind of maybe someone people don't know about, but he can come off the bench and, fill it up for them too. He's had some nice games for them off the bench. So, it's given Knicks fans a little bit of hope that maybe, they can at least, maybe for this year, at least get like a 7 or 8 seed and kind of, see what they can do in the playoffs or maybe higher, who knows. But yeah, it's been interesting to see how the teams kind of come together under Thibs.
Hey, no doubt. I was actually torn choosing between the Jazz and the Knicks, so I'm thankful that they actually made this list here. And again, I'm a Duke fan, so all my Cameron crazies aren't going to like this, but I've actually loved Julius Randle since the beginning, through the draft process and everything. So super stoked to see him ball out. And yeah, hey, if you get 40 minutes a night, you better capitalize on it, right? So at least he's doing what he's supposed to be doing with Tibbs. So shout out to that. Dropped another 30 tonight. And hey, at least Obi got some playing time tonight, Paul. He got 4 minutes, so slowly but surely. But I like Obi as well. But yeah, shout out to Emmanuel as well. Another underrated guy, dropped another 20-piece tonight too. So came up short against Brooklyn. That was definitely a tough loss. So I'm sure there's going to be some question marks about some of the refereeing during this game as well, which has been a huge topic lately. So, but besides for that, definitely stoked for the Knicks. And I guess New York always deserves a winner. So, hey, they're hovering around 500. Hopefully they do make the playoffs and, just give them a little something and get that team to develop, right? Get some of that playing time in the playoffs. That's going to be valuable down the line here for all of these guys as they move forward.
And it's so fun to hear Mike Breen, man.
Right? Mike Breen, bang. Legendary. So he actually has something to cheer for, right?
Mike
Absolutely.
Breen. And then MSG, when there's history, there's history. I get it. What we all can remember, it's losing history, but what we all hear about is the mystique of Madison Square Garden and everyone playing there. So hey, why not? I would love to see some playoff basketball in New York again.
Right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And then to piggyback off that question, we're cheating by sneaking this in just to piggyback off. Disappointing teams this year, at least till the All-Star break.
So I got the Pelicans. They're right now, I think they're sitting at 17-22. They got the same record as OKC, who's literally in full tank mode. It's just disappointing to see, the kind of the team they put together. I know it's maybe kind of not the best fits, but if you look at their starting five, they got Steven Adams at the 5, who's a legit center. They got Zion at the 4, who's been balling. He's averaging 25 and 7. They got Lonzo, who he's kind of up and down, but he's super talented. Then they pick up Eric Bledsoe, who's still kind of looking like he might have lost some, but he's still a good player. And then Brandon Ingram at the 3. So I mean, you look at that starting 5, you think like, okay. And then coming off the bench, you got Josh Hart, one of the best bench players in the league. It's like, and then JJ Redick, knockdown shooter. I mean, that top 7 right there, you feel like should be able to compete at least for a top 8 spot in the West. So I feel like it's just a little disappointing to see where they've ended up this year so far, especially, given their talent level. And if you look at, I guess if you had to point to a reason why, I think last I looked, they're 28th in defensive rating. So, they don't play any defense. They like to play at a fast pace. So, it hasn't worked out for them. I feel like, defensively, they should be good. Zion should be able to play defense. Adams can lock down the paint. Lonzo's supposed to be known for his defense, so it's just, and Ingram's super long. So you feel like with that team, they should be able to get some steals or blocks and, just be able to just overall defend better. So that was my pick.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you and Dill are on right now, but You're on the same wavelength tonight.
It is absolutely nuts, Paul. Yeah, that was a same deal for me. I couldn't even said it better myself if I'm being honest. Like, again, Duke fan, so maybe I'm biased. I got a ton of love. I got the Dukies on this squad here, but it's just it really is just disappointing, right? Coming into the season, there's so much talent, the intrigue, obviously Zion developing. I love what he's doing, but just as a whole, as a team, it's not coming together, right? So I don't know if that's just coaching, Stan Van Gundy. I got love for him. He used to coach my squad and everything, but ultimately, I don't really like the lack of emphasis that they place on defense right now. That's just energy and hustle. Like that's just bringing that every single night. And I find that a lot of young teams, kind of like the position they're in, they kind of struggle with that portion. So maybe the leadership, whether that's on the court or the coaching staff, something's got to be addressed there to kind of re-emphasize, like, hey, yeah, we're not going to be the best defensive team in the league. That's not what we're asking for, but we got to be able to, like you mentioned, someone like Brandon Ingram. Come on, man, you got to be able to use your length, and all these guys are super athletic. There's no reason they shouldn't be at least competitive on the defensive end. And then I think they just rely too much on iso ball. Again, is that a mix of just the young players not knowing what to do and trying to defer to some of the bigger names that they have there between Zion and Brandon Ingram? Or is that just how the offense is truly designed? So that's kind of my situation that I'm staring at, and I'm trying to figure it out, kind of what the issue is. And maybe they can address it the second half of the season. I just don't like the chances at this point.
I hear you. I don't disagree. Y'all hit that on the head there about the Pelicans. More on them in a moment. I threw on a couple teams again here. Start off with Houston. Look, they started the season with James Harden. They don't have him anymore. But then I was thinking, look, they went from 55 wins, 65, 53. Come on, man. This is a team that's been in the second round of the playoffs or the Western Conference Finals. Right now, they have John Wall, Victor Oladipo. That sounds nice. To fall off to having the third worst record in the league? If you're a Houston fan, just think about it. You're used to winning. You have an MVP on your roster.
Hey, you just Christian Wood too.
Yeah, that's my boy, C Wood.
You just had CP3, Russell Westbrook. You had guys come in. You trade Clint Capella. You're deep into the playoffs, and now here you are. So I was just trying to look at it from a fan perspective. I'd be pissed off to be a Rockets fan right now. Absolutely pissed. And I'm looking at the Celtics. Isn't this the same thing? It's the same thing about the Celtics every year. Like, Paul, this is why I critique Brad Stevens. Great X's and O's. I don't know about his leadership. I think if his leadership was there at this point in time, we would see the results. I love the future of these two that you see, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Awesome. Maybe some people are off of this bandwagon right now. As a tandem, I still love the tandem. They just need some more games together. And there's just something about having a scoring point guard on this team. It's not working. It's just not working. Kyrie's out. What's up with Kemba? I mean, maybe Terry Rozier would have worked, although he likes to score the rock as well. It just, for a short amount of time when Kyrie was out, they looked good with Terry, who just, I think last week hit a game winner in front of MJ in the stands. I digress. Look, you got to be disappointed to be a Celtics fan. Every year, we have all these picks and we have all these stud players, and then, we make a move, splash Kyrie, and then, no, he wasn't right for us. Kemba, Gordon Hayward, like, what's going on? Like, I get it. I'm not going to be too critical of Brad Stevens. His first head coaching gig, not his first year, but his first stint in the league. Doesn't always work out for everybody. I'm not saying he's terrible. I love Brad Stevens, Paul. I'm just being critical because I think there's other elements he needs to fulfill. And a lot of the blame can go to Danny Ainge. This team should not be hovering around 500. Am I screaming Mayday? Yes, because of their history and leading up to this point. It's Mayday for the Celtics because there's 4 other teams I consider to be more of a contender to make it out the East than them. I have them at 5th right now. I mean, am Am I overreacting on the Celtics or the Rockets?
I don't think so. I mean, well, first off, for the Rockets, I actually kind of like the direction they're going, because I think Harden basically forced their hand and was like, "Hey, you got to trade me at this point." So, as hard as it is for a team to tank, they kind of have to do it. You got to accumulate picks. You got to figure out ways to, get younger players and just kind of build from the bottom. Because that's just the way they, once Harden left, they knew they weren't going to contend. So and then Christian Wood's been out with an ankle injury most of the year, but he's shown he's the real deal. After that half season in Detroit last year where he kind of balled out, he's showing like, hey, he's legit. I think he's like 22-12 right now before he went down with the injury. So and then Oladipo is kind of just a fill in. I'm sure they'll try to trade him at the deadline. Maybe John Wall for Russell Westbrook. That was the weirdest trade ever. I don't understand. I mean, they're just maybe just hoping for a change of scenery, but I think basically what they want to do is just clear the decks of those salaries and just kind of try to start over. It seems like that's what they're doing now. They're kind of just playing young guys, like Kevin Porter Jr. is getting a chance now to start. It's just like these random guys who, Kevin Porter was just a couple weeks ago, I didn't even know if he was going to be in the league anymore because of all the off the court stuff. So it's just a weird situation. I don't know who's tanking harder, Houston or OKC. So, but
The Pistons.
I know, right? They need to tank too, right? Oh man. But and then for the Celtics, just kind of touch on some points that maybe you didn't talk about. Is I think a big reason is Kemba's health. He's kind of been up and down as far as if he's going to play or not. He's been dealing with some knee injuries. Because when he's not playing, if you actually look at the roster, it's very thin. You got Jaylen Brown, you got Jason Tatum, obviously, but then Smart's a nice player, but he's not going to give you much offense, and he's also been hurt a lot most of the year as well with different things. And then outside of those three guys, like if Kemba and Smart's not playing, they have no bench. Robert Williams has had some good games, but you can't really rely on him for much scoring as well. So I feel like there's kind of just a combination of a lot of things with how thin their roster is, and how Kemba's not really been able to show up for them. So we'll see what they do at the trade deadline. I still think, if they can get Kemba back fully healthy and Smart healthy for the playoffs and maybe pick up someone at the deadline, I think they could still make some noise. I don't think they can win it all, but I think they can still be a threat.
Yeah, no doubt about the Celtics. They can still absolutely be a threat. I'm not picking them at this point. I've definitely been off the ship for about 2 years there. Definitely love the talent. Again, maybe the Duke bias. I love Jason Tatum, and I still think they definitely need room to grow and mature as that tandem, kind of as you alluded to. Maybe just get a little bit more time together. But ultimately, I'm kind of with you in that same boat there as far as Brad Stevens. I feel like the leadership thing, right? Again, with Stan Van Gundy, this is Stan's first year there. So I guess we can give him a little more leeway than Brad Stevens at this point. But what does Brad Stevens have to do to lose his job or to keep his job? I'm really curious, as we move forward here, kind of what the move is going to be, or is it more about roster management? Like Paul said, I think they are a little thin as far as it comes to like a deep run in the playoff. And they always feel like they're a move away from, bringing in some additional talent to compete, but every year it never follows through. So I'm just really curious when they kind of stop trying to go that route and, maybe move on from Brad Stevens, if that is the direction they want to go. But as far as the Rockets, I don't know, coming into the season, I didn't really have any expectations, if I'm being honest. It just felt like for them, their season story is basically 1 foot out the door with Harden, Morey. Like there was so much turnover. So I don't think anybody outside of the fan base had any kind of real expectations other than, okay, well, we get to see John Wall play. We get to see, DeMarcus Cousins on the court. We get to see, see Wood out there in a bigger role, bigger capacity after he got his deal. And Oladipo, another guy, 1 foot out the door, can't seem to find a home either. I'm still struggling to kind of find that. So honestly, zero expectations. So kind of expected Houston to kind of be where they are right now. Definitely the Celtics. To me, there's no reason they should be hovering around 500 with the top heavy talent that they have. I feel like you can get away with that during the regular season, but in the playoffs, that's usually where you get exposed.
Good points. All good points. All right, guys. Sit
For a guard.
Gotta call a halftime from that NBA stuff. This NFL stuff right now, you guys are killing me, dude. Paul, you're going off on Taysom Hill. Dill's going off on the Chiefs right now.
Well, we're just talking about the myth of the salary cap. Apparently, only a few teams know that this is not a real thing. So the rest of us are catching up.
Yeah, they make such a big deal about people being over the cap, but then because there's no there's all these non-guaranteed money, so you can restructure deals to make your cap hit lower this year and longer down the road, or you can add extended years that are all voidable, so it helps get you under the cap, but technically they're just like fake contract years. Like it's just dumb.
So, guys, diehards, during the break, we took a little intermission. Before we hit record again, these guys are going off on Taysom Hill's contract.
It's a pseudo contract. Say it correctly.
All voidable years. Oh man.
In what other sport can you set up a contract like that? It's ridiculous.
I'm gonna assume all of them. I don't know.
Like, I'm sorry, Tyler Johnson cashed every check on his big old deal in the NBA, right? Does anybody remember Tyler Johnson? I don't know.
Still know.
Oh man.
One example. Jeez. But yeah, sorry, salary cap is a myth, guys. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. You can restructure every single player on your team.
Yeah.
And you will get under the cap.
Or you sign a new player like the Chiefs, like we were talking about too. 16 million a year average, but only has a $4.5 million cap hit this year. So I don't want to put this out in the universe, but they can go get another offensive lineman that's highly touted right now, who's a free agent. So I don't want to put it out there though. Jeez, it's crazy.
Maybe they'll just add 10 more years to Mahomes' contract that are fake.
25-year deal.
And it will save them $50 million in cap this year by doing that. Some stupid rule that some nerd behind the scenes is cooking up, some cap expert trying to figure out ways to get under the cap. Why is there so many random things you can do to get under the cap that don't make any sense?
Dude.
Yeah, I would love to sit in on some meetings with capologists for all these teams. That must be fun.
Oh, check out Joe Banner, man. He shares some good things. Former Eagles GM. All right, diehards. This all started. Don't let me fool you. I'm not a choir boy. These guys started talking free agents and destinations and this and that, and then draft. And then I'm an Eagles fan, just like Paul. And then Dylan asked Paul about, number 6, who you getting? Paul says Jamar Chase, and I'm livid again, but I want a strong defense for the Eagles. They haven't had a defense to fear in years. I don't want a receiver for a quarterback that's going to run and for an offense run. All right. I want to stay as close to choir-ish as possible. So maybe we'll talk with the Birds another day. But yes, Dylan, your team is interested in Juju and replacing Elson Aguilar. So, all right. Back to the association, where I'm a little bit more happier these days. Dill, next question. Start us off. What team is coming out of the Eastern Conference this season?
I'm actually mad I'm admitting this out loud, but it's none other than the trio in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, Paul. unfortunately. I love Philly. I love what they're doing. I genuinely feel like they're just too talented, and I think they actually would have enough to overcome any kind of lack of like chemistry as far as a deep playoff run together. Um, in the East, I genuinely don't see anybody beating them in a series at this point. It's definitely going to be tough, though. It'll. I don't expect anything less than 6 or 7 games against you guys, especially. You guys got too much firepower down low. That's going to be tough for them to overcome. But ultimately, these 3 guys down here in the bottom right, I think that's going to be a little bit too much when Kevin Durant's back.
Yeah, I can see that point. They're, especially if Durant's healthy and Kyrie's engaged and he's not out to lunch somewhere. I think they could definitely be very good. The only reason I think the Sixers can come out is because they actually play defense and the Nets don't believe in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like, especially with Embiid, like DeAndre is getting laughed at for how bad his defense is this year. So I mean, Embiid could literally average 70 points against them in a series. But yeah, I just feel like with Embiid and Simmons, 2 of the best defensive players in the league, I think obviously you can't shut down, the Nets scoring, because those are 3 of the best scorers in history of the NBA, so it'll be a tough series, but I don't know if, I think since the Sixers actually are a good defensive team, they can overcome, the offense, the Nets, and the Nets got to stay healthy, so that's a big question mark too. So,
No doubt.
it's going to depend a lot on those other players on the Sixers besides Embiid, if Tobias can play like an all-star like he has this first half, and if Seth and all their bench guys can hit threes, that's going to be a big thing. And if Simmons can do what he does, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. That'd be great if they could meet up in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that would be a matchup everyone would want to see. So
Big time.
That was an interesting point on Embiid scoring. I know 70 was outlandish, but but I want to back it up a little bit. Last 3 seasons, Embiid shooting 80% from the stripe. This year, career high 86. Pretty impressive, man. Look, can we show some love real quick to some of the other teams in the East? I mean, yeah, the favorites are on the left right there, the 2 teams you just talked about. I think you guys are split on those. Maybe I'll have to be the decision breaker here, tiebreaker. Giannis, man, he's been a consistent MVP candidate. They finished first a couple of times in the East. They made an Eastern Finals appearance. Milwaukee's been stronger in the regular season. They've been favorites in the postseason, and they haven't come through yet. I don't think any of us see that changing this year. I mean, it's not easy to make playoffs 4 years in a row, which is what they've done. It is a little disappointing. They only had 1 ECF appearance, but they're second in scoring. Milwaukee is second in scoring, 4th in shooting, and from downtown. 4th from the field, 4th from downtown. Milwaukee, they won't be a tough out. That's still a tough team to play. And then on the other side, they're set blocks, 8th in rebounds, 10th in assists. So that's the epitome of team ball. I think they're gonna make the Nets. They're gonna make the Nets play team ball to beat them. That's what they're gonna do at the very least. I don't think you can play iso ball and just dominate Milwaukee. I just don't. Philly, I think that's an interesting matchup between Philly and Milwaukee. I really do. I think Milwaukee, they just have that experience together. That's what I like about Milwaukee. Boston, I'm off that bandwagon right now. Not that I was on it. Dylan, I know you're not on it. Paul, I think you're off of it with us. I do want to shed a light. 6 straight playoff appearances, including 3 Eastern Conference Finals. Look, that's pretty impressive. That shows that they're clearly the most experienced out of all 5 of these teams. I only consider these 5 teams to be any sort of contenders in this Eastern Conference. And then, for all the woes that the Celtics are going through, they're 10th in shooting from the field and from downtown and in steals. And then I look and I see, okay, I see what they had. They had Doc Rivers. They had the big 3, the veteran team, young Rajon Rondo, and they had some success and they had to move on. So I'm not trying to compare, a championship roster back in like 2010 or 09 to today. Clearly, you see what Danny Ainge had to do. He went from the vets and the older coach to this young squad. I just think they just need more time. I mean, who knows how much time is enough time until there's big changes, though. I actually think in the end, Boston might be the weakest team in this group. And a lot of people, diehards, you listening, I know. I want to hear your opinions. These guys do too. We want to read them. But I know Miami's 500. Jimmy Butler missed some games, and they're struggling to defend the East. Yes, they just made the finals. They're shooting a shade under 80% from the line, which is better than all of these teams. That's an advantage. They do get to the free throw line. They do finish buckets in the paint. They're second in blocks, 8th in boards. Man, I mean, it's just a tough squad. I think they're better with Jimmy Butler healthy finally. Bam's missed a couple games. He'll be back in. I don't think there's any easy out here, but I think Boston's the weakest of the contenders. Dill, you picked the Nets. Paul, you picked the Sixers. I don't want to pick the Nets. It's just so hard not to. It's really hard not to pick the Nets. Am I rooting for them? Hell no. I think they're all weak-minded. I'm not a fan. I absolutely disqualify all 3 of them from being an MVP as long as they play together. I just do. So yeah, if I had to break this tie, I'd ride with Dylan and the Nets. I don't want to. If they meet Philly in the ECF, I'm rooting for Philly. If they meet any
all day.
any of these teams, I'm rooting for all of these other teams. So if I had to pick a third team that I think is the strongest, since I'm kind of ranking them, I kind of put Brooklyn, Philly, and then at the end I put Boston. So that means I got to kind of put Miami and Milwaukee somewhere. I'll give the edge to Miami over Milwaukee. I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. I think they have the spacing all over the floor, and Bam's just got to stay healthy. I know. He only got hurt last postseason. He's just nicked up right now. He'll be back. I want to see Jimmy and Bam play healthy. I think that's a tough out. If you guys had to pick a third best team in the East, or that third team that could reach the finals, who would you pick?
Man, I think I agree about the Celtics. I just don't see them. Like I said earlier, if Kemba and Smart are healthy, I think they could be tough, but I don't think they're better than Milwaukee or Miami at this point. And like you said about Miami, they're a little above 500 right now, I think. But they got hit hard by COVID earlier in the year. A lot of COVID people had to sit out. Jimmy had to sit out earlier because of COVID, and Bam's been in and out of the lineup. So I think with everyone in the lineup for them, they'll definitely be a tough out. So I see them, if they can get it together, for sure, I think they can. But I feel like Milwaukee, the one thing about them the past couple of years is, now that they have a lot of experience in the playoffs, I feel like that's going to serve them well. So I give the slight edge to them as the third best behind Philly and Brooklyn, because I don't know, Giannis is still the same dominant player, and they can shoot the lights out. Maybe rely on the 3 too much at times, which can get them into trouble. But I feel like that playoff experience in the last couple of years will really serve them well, and they have the talent to do it. So I think I'll have to give the slight edge to them.
Yeah, that's definitely tough. I definitely agree with you, though, that I think the cumulative playoff experience that they've dealt with and some of the hardships and, some of the losses that they had to go through so far, it's definitely going to help them. I still personally give the nod to the Heat as well. I'm definitely in that boat. Just like you both alluded to, the addition of Jimmy Butler coming back and just kind of a weird season, obviously for everybody in the league, but I know they were hit especially hard with the COVID situation. In their last 10 games, they're 9-1. So they're definitely kind of hitting the ground running at this point, getting everyone back together and trying to make another run at this thing. And, this second half of the season is going to be huge, just as far as, hey, where are they going to place? Who are they going to match up with? Right. I think that's going to be a big thing in the top 4 seeding here in the East to kind of finish off to see who's really going to be able to make that ECF run.
Good stuff. All right. All right. Well, maybe not conference finals in this case, but let's circle back to a player we mentioned earlier, a team we mentioned earlier as far as being disappointing. So, Dill, you can lead us off here. Currently 11th in the Western Conference and 6 games under 500. This was your question. Will the New Orleans Pelicans make a playoff push?
Man, that's super tough. Again, I love all the talent there. They're not too far off, right? When you actually look at the standings, there's definitely room for them to do that. Unfortunately, I just don't see that gap being met at this point. I like the Grizzlies. I like Ja Morant. He's back. He's balling just like he never missed a beat. The Warriors still hanging around being competitive. Steph and Draymond, they're not going to go away anytime soon. They're going to be battling for the last spot with Luka and the Spurs. I'm really interested to see kind of how the Spurs shakes out. So honestly, I'm not even counting the Blazers. I think that gap's a little bit too big until they see the Pelicans starting to kind of pick up in the second half of the season here. But ultimately, I don't see the Pelicans doing that, kind of as Paul alluded to as well. Just that defense, if they're not going to play any type of defense the second half of the season, they're going to have zero chance to even make it in the playoffs. And even if they do sneak in, they're not going to be able to win in a series that way. Not at all. So unfortunately, I have them missing the playoffs this year, and I think that's a huge disappointment and a step back in their development.
So before Paul goes, what 2 teams do you think finish 7th and 8th?
Ooh, I think
Danny, right there.
I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go with the Mavericks and the Warriors. I don't know if the Spurs can hang on to that. Maybe that's just a little bias in me, having a little love for the Warriors. But ultimately, I don't know if the Spurs will be able to kind of keep that pace the second half of the season here, even though they are impressive and I do like some of their players. But yeah, I think Mavs and Warriors ended up pulling that out in the 7-8 seed there.
Man, stop stealing my thunder, man. I was gonna say the same thing, but
No way.
no, yeah, because I mean, like you said, the Spurs, I think they're a nice story so far, but they're probably gonna fall off a bit, especially with Aldridge most likely getting traded.
Yeah.
He's not gonna play another game with them. DeRozan, he might get traded too. So they're not really in a win now mode. So I don't see them being fully committed to try to get that like playoff spot. And then the Mavs, I mean, if Porzingis comes back and he's healthy, there's no way they shouldn't at least move, maybe even move up to the 6 or the 5 seed. Like they're way too talented. And yeah, with Warriors, Steph's just playing such a high level right now. I think they're a better team with the Warrior than the Grizzlies, when they're clicking on all cylinders. So yeah. And then with the Pelicans, obviously we talked about them earlier, but I agree that I don't see them making a playoff push, and we talked a lot about them earlier, but one thing I'll add is that, there's a lot of chatter about like trade rumors too. So I don't know if that is maybe taking some attention away from them being able to kind of put it together. Cause Bledsoe's kind of been playing really poorly. I don't know if he might get traded and go to like a contender. There's been talk about Ball getting traded and how he might not fit in with their future plans. And then Steven Adams is kind of maybe not the best fit next to Zion because they both play down low and they can't shoot at all. So it's just it's a talented team like we talked about, but maybe not the best pieces that fit together. I think Ingram and Zion fit well together, but I think they need to get a more of a stretch 5 to play with Zion, because Zion's obviously going to be down low a lot. So if they can get a big man that can kind of step out and shoot and bring people away from the paint, give Zion more room to operate, I think that's kind of where they need to go. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
That's true. We will see. I mean, in some of the trade rumors, LaMarcus Aldridge right here, Kristaps Porzingis, even though there's a rumor that the Mavericks aren't shopping him, but there's another rumor saying they are. It's just on the DL. We all expect Aldridge to get traded. That's become a thing. The man you said, Steph Curry, former MVP, is playing like an MVP again. And then the young point guards. These are all teams right here that are fighting for the 7th and 8th spots. John Morant, DeAndre Fox are playing good ball right now. And, of course, Zion. Paul, I think you're a big Zion fan, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, 20 years old and already averaging 25 and 7. I think he's obviously going to have some limitations as far as, shooting, but he's already improved his free throw percentage too. I think he's shooting about 67%. So, man, he's only a few away from 70. If he can even hover around low 70s, I think you'd take that from him. So, is he going to be a guy who can create his own shot from the outside, take people off the dribble, step back, kind of that traditional mold you think of when you think of like your first option as a scorer? You think of that guy who can get a shot any time, takes maybe some fadeaways or step back threes, that's kind of how the game has been going. But he's kind of that, throwback in a sense with his skill set. So I think, you just got to complement him well with some, I think Ingram complements him really well because he can shoot from outside and kind of create his own shot. So yeah, I mean, I think the dude, and we talked about it, I think easily he'll be a perennial all-star. I don't know if he'll ever be a top 5, player in the league, but I mean, I don't think there's any reason why he can't make all-star games every year from here on out.
No, I get you. I hear you. So I'm with you both on the Mavericks and Warriors winning and earning those last 2 playoff seeds in the West. I'm not saying they're going to win, in the playoffs, but I think they make it in over these other 4 teams. Dill, if you had to pick between John Morant, DeAndre Fox, the Grizzlies, and the Kings, who has a better crack at the playoffs?
I say the Grizzlies. I actually like their team pretty much. They got a lot of young players there, right? And they got a couple vets there to kind of help along the way. But I think just Ja in general, I think he's a better leader. Personally, nothing against Aaron. I'm just trying to pick one over the other at this point. But yeah, I think they would be able to make the push over the Kings at this point. I think the Kings, I know they're only 2 games away, but that's still pretty significant by the time the season comes to the close here. So, I'll definitely keep a close eye on both of them, but I think John Morant and just overall the Grizzlies roster is just a little bit better. So I think they'll be competitive and actually make that push versus the Kings at this point.
And then Paul, the man in the middle, Kristaps, KP, if he's healthy, say he plays the rest of the year and say in the postseason, he doesn't miss a game in the postseason and the Mavs make the playoffs and say they don't meet the Lakers in round 1, with things shake out in the end, say they play any other team in the West. Can the Mavs win a first round series?
Absolutely. I definitely think they can. Like you said, if Porzingis plays the rest of the way, they got Luka, they got Josh Richardson now, who they picked up from Philly last year. Finney Smith is a nice, compliment who he can play defense, he can knock down some threes.
I like him.
They got some shooting off the bench. They got Kleber. They got and then Tim Hardaway can fill it up. So I really like their team a lot. I'd love to see a Clippers rematch in the first round. I think they got they got robbed a little bit last year with those weird technical fouls, and then Porzingis couldn't play the rest of the season. So that was just a weird thing. But man, sign me up for that rematch. I think they can. I don't know if they can beat. I think the Suns, they could beat the Lakers with AD. I don't think, but and then the Jazz, that's tough too. But I think they could beat the Clippers or the Suns though in a 7-game series.
Nice. All right, good stuff. And we've been talking a lot about this right here. Talking about most valuable player. It's always going to be a debate, right? So I threw these candidates here. Some are from you guys, some are from me, and then some's from a buddy that couldn't make the show. All good. He still contributed some content. He's here in spirit. He's watching. So, Paul, your question is, who are our top MVP candidates? And if you're listening to this, I would love it if you would just press pause for like a minute or two. Shoot us your top 3 candidates on Twitter or Facebook, whichever platform you prefer, in the YouTube comments, which it's where you're watching this. So whatever's easier for you, shoot us your MVP candidates. Love to hear it. But also tell us why and what you're looking for in an MVP. That's important. If we're not playing, on a level playing field with, hey, this is what we look for in an MVP, then it's kind of like, oh, you're just throwing out names and whatever. So first, let's get all the names on the board in your order, Paul. We'll circle back around to the reasons and what you look for after that. So Paul, give us your 3, then Dill.
All right. Well, I got Embiid number 1. Just a little bit, obviously he's having the best year of his career for sure. Leading the number one team in the East. So I feel like, we'll get into more reasons why later, but he's my number 1. I got number 2. I got Jokic putting up a crazy year. His team's right there in the mix. And then my number 3 was tough, but I went with Dame because I feel like he's overcome the most because of McCollum not being there and Nurkic being out the whole year, and them still being, up there with the top teams. I feel like he's been just amazing this year. So those are my 3.
And you know what, man? You and Dill are running the 2-man game today. Just 2-man game. It's just you guys on one side of the court, just killing the defense today. Your top 2 are the same, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it is what it is, especially when it comes to this category. I think this year especially, I think there's no doubt with 2 of these dudes. Joel Embiid, definitely number 1 in my book right now. Number 2, I definitely have Joker as well. Number 3 is tough because Dame is my guy. I definitely wanted to put him in the category here, but I think what's being set up here in the second half of the season, especially with the recent news that came out today, I got LeBron as the 3rd one here. We'll kind of probably talk a little bit more about that, but those are the 3 dudes that I see kind of the second half here leading the charge. Just wish Embiid didn't take the spill that he just recently did, unfortunately.
Did you guys hear any news on that yet?
Yeah, he's out 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So it's a bone bruise, so he should be okay. But yeah, hopefully he's back sooner than later.
Exactly.
Got it. So is it fair to say, I know we're picking our MVPs up to the All-Star break. Is it fair to say that maybe Embiid is not going to win it now?
I don't think so. I mean, 2 or 3 weeks, that's a decent amount of time, but I don't know. I feel like it depends, that's what, maybe 5 to 8
5 to
games
7.
misses, so
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like the way he's been playing, and if he continues that after he comes back, I don't see any reason why he still wouldn't be considered for it, because unless he missed like over 20 games or something like that. So
I get it for sure.
That's tough, man.
It is tough. I have the 2 bigs in my top 3 as well, Embiid and Joker. Clearly, easily in my top 3. That's a clean sweep right here. They got a hat trick. Thing is, I put Embiid at 3. I had to do a triple take because I'm like, yeah. I got Embiid at 3 with Joker at 2. And number 1 is the guy Dylan mentioned, Mr. Year 18, LeBron James is who I have. More on that in a moment. And the why. Just not just because it's LeBron and blah blah blah, but all right. So we got all our names on the table. You guys see the stats here if you're watching. So Dill and I both have LeBron in the top 3. And then all 3 of us have Embiid and Jokic in the top 3, where Paul has Dame and let's see. And then our buddy Josh, yep, Dame time. And then our buddy Josh, he actually put Steph Curry and Chris Paul in his top 3. That's why they're on this list. He couldn't make the show. It's all good. I liked his perspective as well, so I kept it in. So yeah, you see the numbers, and then Paul, give us what you look for in a most valuable player candidate.
Well, obviously you got to have the stats. Number one, it's definitely not everything, but you got to show that, hey, like you're taking on a lot of responsibility as far as, scoring, rebounding, assists, whatever it is that, however that is that impacts the game greatly. But obviously besides that, you definitely want to see, how they interact with other players. Are they a good leader? Are they vocal during, timeouts where, maybe a player's down and they're helping them out, just kind of, you can kind of sense that leadership just from watching the games. And then, obviously, are they making others better? Sometimes it's not just about assists or anything. Sometimes it's about, hey, I'm taking a double team, so I'm going to open up opportunities for other players, to maybe have better shooting looks, and that can lead to, role players having career years because of that. So that's something I definitely look at, as far as, are they making others better? And then lastly, I'll say, what are they like? How does the team look without them? If they miss a night due to injury or what have you, what is that team looking like? Does it look a lot different? Are they still able to, kind of score the same amount of points or have the same, margin of victory? Do they look like just an average team now compared to what they were before? So those are kind of my main criteria of what I look at.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a similar boat there. Like Paul said, stats aren't everything, so I wrote down production. Again, you got to have some numbers there, right? That's definitely got to be in the discussion there. Team success as well. That kind of plays into what he just mentioned. One, what is your record, right? Are you a winning team? Are you in the playoff hunt? Are you in the top 2, 3 in your respective conference? And also, like you said, if you're not there, if you are missing games, what happens to your team, right? Are you still there vocally as a leader as well? That's kind of the third category for me as well, leadership, both on and off the court. You got to be able to, and again, just like Paul mentioned, make your team better, whether you're on the court or not. There's so many ways to impact a basketball game, but most of these dudes are able to get, 30, 35, 40 minutes a night. But it's just awesome to see like all these dudes step up as leaders, like Dame over time. Steph Curry, just to shout them out, just because they weren't on my list, but and Chris Paul as well, doing his thing out there in Phoenix. So, but yeah, just seeing Joel Embiid as well, kind of take that ownership of it and realizing kind of the opportunity he has both with his talent and what he can do with his teammates is pretty awesome. And yeah, these clips right here, that's just insane. You package all that in, and I'm just loving seeing all these bigs getting some love this year. I know kind of the sport has been saying, there's no more bigs anymore, and we're kind of getting away from that. I never really felt like it. I understood kind of why that sentiment was, but I think ultimately it's cyclical. You're going to need a big guy to win. You're going to need him to produce, especially in big moments in the playoffs. So, yeah, shout out to these guys and production, leadership, and team success. That's kind of what rounds out to me to be a MVP.
I hear you. I think most can agree with both of you. When I chime in on what I look for, you guys, it's for the most part fairly evident what to look at. It's just very subjective and preference based for what combination you kind of prefer and what your the eye test, what it shows you any given year. Winning, stats. I look at situation. That matters to me, such as Paul mentioning what the adversity Damian Lillard's going through. Not having your backcourt mate, but the second best player on the team too. One of the best sidekicks in the game, and CJ McCollum. That's huge. That is big time. So Dame is on probably most people's list. Maybe not top 3, like, mine or yours still. But yeah, Dame definitely gets that respect, and he has a whole second half to put a stamp on it and to possibly win it. So not like I'm rooting against him. I totally love it. But just using that as an example of why situation matters to me, along with impact and intangibles, just stuff you can't really measure, kind of like Paul, the illustration he gave about leadership. That's important. You guys know that. We know that. If you play the game or even coached or whatever, you watch. Leadership is very evident. And look, these plays are just ridiculous, man. I put it on a clip. Sorry. I'm watching Jokic and just Embiid. We're all watching. But yeah, to get back, situation. So am I jumping out of 2020 to 2021 season a little bit? I am. Yes, I am. Maybe it's unfair. But this is why I'm picking LeBron James as my mid-season MVP. Similar adversity without Anthony Davis. Look at the rest of that team too. I mean, yeah, some players are nice, but are they nice? I don't think so. And this is year 18, and that's what I mean about taking other outside factors into account. For me, for Joker and all these guys you see in the running, Dame, CP3, Steph, Embiid, nothing against anyone. I love great hoop. I want to see everyone at their peak. I want to say every year is the greatest. That's the type of fan I am. But I mean, if I'm seeing LeBron do things in year 18 and his numbers are similar to everyone else's, if not, more balanced when you're looking at the statistics as we did earlier, I'll put them up in a moment. It's just, I need to see that much more from everybody else then. I need to see that much more to be most valuable player. So can I just easily in black and white define what Embiid has to do, what Joker has to do? Not really. I couldn't tell you on paper what that looks like, but AD coming back in a week or two or something, yeah, that's gonna hurt LeBron's MVP chances. I think he's on a mission. I don't think he's gonna sit out like Kawhi Leonard, a player I have a problem with. I don't like players sitting out. I think it's weak. Do I understand it? Sure. But yeah, that's why I got LeBron, King James as my midseason MVP. Is the dude's putting up 26, 8, and 8, man. Like, it's ridiculous. And should I be isolating this one season? Sure, but I mean, even if you do that, his numbers are right there anyway. So let me put these numbers back up so we can share. Paul, I know you didn't have LeBron in your top 3. Do you even think he's a candidate?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was between him and Lillard for 3. But the reason why I went with Dame is, obviously I feel like he's literally carrying that team. Like, the fact that I think they're tied for the 5th seed right now. They literally, I mean, like I said, McCollum and Nurkic are out. They literally have no one else on that team. Robert Covington they picked up, but he's been trashed this year. Can't make a shot to save his life this year. So, I mean, if you just look at, they're depending on Carmelo. Carmelo's their probably number 2 scorer right now, and he's coming off the bench. So it's just sad what he has to work with, and the fact that they're still like tied for the 5th seed in the West in a very competitive conference, no less. I just think it speaks volumes about how damn good that guy is.
I'm gonna interject real quick. Maybe it's recency bias or something. Whenever I hear Carmelo Anthony, do you know what name pops in my head? Anthony Edwards, his dad.
Oh man!
Other night, man, he's going off a pick, and Melo don't know how to act, how to play it. He just goes down the lane, just bashes it over some dude, past Melo, and then he hits a 3 over Melo. Dude, he ain't in the MVP combo or anything, but Anthony Edwards is a highlight reel. Good gracious, man. Hey, will Edwards be in the MVP conversation at some point in his career?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll go that
Yeah.
far, but hey, I'm all for it. Keep balling out, keep developing. but but I think a narrative, that's definitely something most people might not agree on, right? Because you might not subscribe to a certain narrative that might be pushed as far as the MVP discussion. And I think what can actually benefit LeBron James now, I think news broke earlier, Anthony Davis is out at least another 3 weeks. So LeBron going on a post All Star game tear, that's something he's always, I guess, known for, getting into his playoff mode, right? A couple years ago. I know it didn't really go well, unfortunately, that year, but I think this specific year, this can be the push he needs because I think he'll be able to finish top two in the West. I think they can beat out the Suns, just because I don't know if the Suns can sustain the pace that they're at, but I still think the Suns will finish top four. But I think if LeBron finishes top two, he's going to be able to push for that narrative, especially with AD out for TBD at this point. They're going to take a cautious approach because they're just coming off a championship run. So I think that can help LeBron. He's going to get his stats. He's on all these lists, and for me, I think Lillard is kind of making the list now again for me over Embiid. I just think because he's going to miss maybe 5 to 7 games, that's about 15 missed games on the season here. Fair or not, that just I know that's how it can kind of sway some votes in that regard. So I'm thinking maybe Embiid misses out just solely for that. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. But I think that could definitely impact voters as we do move forward through the second part of the season here.
Is there, I'll start with you, Paul. Is there a path for Steph Curry to win MVP this season, or is this too, or do you think the team sneaking into the playoffs, they probably won't get higher than a 7th seed? You think that's too much to overcome for Steph?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. They'd have to kind of crack that top four, I think, and go on a crazy run. Right now, they're not even a top 8. I think the fact that they're 500, he's playing super well, but I just feel like they have to have a little more team success for me to kind of consider him, moving him up higher. So I think they'd have to go on a kind of a run to at least get themselves in the top 4, I would think. And then at that point, I would definitely consider it. And I think a lot of it is also because of Steve Kerr as well. Some of it can be because of that. I mean, the Warriors have no bench either. And Kerr is kind of being cautious because Draymond and Steph are both older and they've had injury problems. So I think if you look at Steph compared to these other guys, his minutes per game are probably a little lower. So I think that kind of holds him back a little bit and maybe holds back the team's success from maybe they'd be a little better if they played more. But then, he doesn't want to tire him out. He knows he's got to get him through a whole season. So yeah, that's kind of how it is for me. I think they'd have to really move up into that top 4 conversation.
That's fair. Totally fair. What do you think, Dill?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I agree with him there. I'm kind of saying the same thing about Joker too. So I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. I just don't really see those guys getting legitimate, the MVP nod, if you will, unless they do finish in the top 4. Obviously, the Nuggets are closer, right? They're at 23 wins or so right now. They're only about 3-4 games out. But yeah, I think for Steph Curry to be considered and actually win over a bunch of votes, he's got to crack that top 4, which I don't see happening at this pace. But I definitely think, he can make a strong case. I just don't think he's going to sway any voters his way.
Fair enough. All right.
Did anyone have Giannis in their top 5? I mean, I know he's kind of like the boring pick because he's done it every year and he's won it already. So it's kind of like, well, let's give it to someone else. But I mean, if you look at what the guy's doing, he's still putting up crazy numbers and the team's in the top 3 in the East. So, I mean,
yeah,
he rolls out of bed. He's averaging 29, 11, and 6. It's like, it's ridiculous. So it's kind of crazy that we went this whole segment of talking about MVP candidates and we have 6 guys up there and not one of them's Giannis. It's just kind of interesting.
I love that you brought him up because I was about to ask you guys what player not listed here would you throw on the board. That was going to be my player. I'm with you on Giannis. I like Giannis. I don't love Giannis, but I like him. I think his game is so smooth. He's well rounded. I just from day one up till now, there's just something about him. I don't think he's an alpha. Not that everyone has to be. I'm not saying everyone has to be the same player and be good at all the same things. I just don't see him leading anyone to a title. I know it takes a team. I just mean, given a best possible roster and circumstance and all that, I think he has to be the second guy. I don't view that as a negative, but maybe some people will. Is that a negative, Dill, or do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I definitely see where you're coming from. I don't know. It's definitely just tough barriers. For me personally as well. Like Paul said, super talented. He's putting up ridiculous numbers just like he did last year in his MVP season. So uh, I don't know, but I definitely agree. It's it's a little crazy that he's might not be on this list, but it's definitely understandable. And I think that just attests to how much good ball, individual play that there is out there right now. That we kind of forget former MVP, at this point in this situation here. I guess to play a little devil's advocate, I wouldn't throw it out there, but I've seen people throwing this name out there. But James Harden, again, I know he probably has the asterisk because of that situation he's in, but dude's still playing out of control if you just look at the numbers and the advanced stats. So if you're a stat nerd, you're probably putting him on your list. Otherwise, narrative wise, he's probably not getting any votes, which is understandable.
Paul, you care to respond to that?
I mean, no, I can't argue with the numbers he's putting up. He's leading the league in assists easily since he got traded. He's playing more, I guess, team ball than I thought he would. In Houston, he was just kind of like step back 15 times a game, and we'll see how many drop. But no, I think he's done a good job of getting others involved. I think he's over the past few years, he's really shown how good of a passer he is. You kind of just realize, oh, wow, this guy's a 30-point per game scorer. And then you're like, oh, wow, he actually was like averaging over 10 assists a game the last couple of years. So, I mean, the dude can really, set up others and, get everyone else going too. So I got to give him some credit for that. But I agree with Dylan, the whole, just everything that's happened this year. It's just it makes it hard for him to be in consideration.
For sure. I'm anti-Nets, but whatever.
Hey, I understand.
And
blame me.
all right. So before we get out of here, I have 3 rounds of rosters for you guys. I'll throw out a team. Y'all know the game. We've been doing this for years since we were little. Man. So basically, it's gonna be you two because obviously I wrote down the rosters. I looked them up. So you two alternating naming players until you run out. If you can't think of one, simply say I'm out. This is the elimination game.
Oh man,
So
Paul's gonna get me. I already know.
I don't know.
it's been a while, but we haven't shared this fun game we used to stay up all night doing for every team in the NBA, the NFL. I thought you guys might appreciate it coming back. All right, first team, the Miami Heat.
All right, who gets the honors?
Go for it, whoever wants to.
I'll kick it off with Myers Leonard.
Oh man, how dare you? I'll go with Mr. Hero,
Duncan Robinson.
Duncan. James Butler.
Oh man, my name's Jim. Bam.
Well, bam. Let's see, who else can we go with here? Olenek.
Avery Bradley.
Oh dang, has he even played this year?
Honestly, I don't even know at this
Oh
point.
man. Let's see who else they got coming off that bench. Precious Achua,
Oh man.
the Rook.
Hey, y'all are not Googling, right?
No,
Nah. Is Udonis Haslam still on the squad? I feel like this is like his last
Is
year.
he still like a coach player technically?
Yeah, he's pulling the Juwan Howard for sure.
Dang. All right.
His roster is 16 here.
Damn, 16 you got on there? All right.
Ooh.
Let's see. Oh man, I got some good other ones. Max Struess.
Wow.
Ooh. Wow. Ooh, I think you got me there. Let me see. I'll try. Let me see.
Oh, come on, bro.
We're probably missing one that's like
I know. I'm sure there's like an obvious one. Oh, Goran Dragic. Jeez.
nice. There you go. Oh man. Let's see if I can pull another one.
Sorry, Goran. Jeez, disrespectful.
I know, really.
I see you typing, Dill.
Me? I'm not even typing.
No.
You would be able to hear my keyboard. Trust me.
Oh man.
See.
Dang.
Nope.
Run low.
Lil Dang's no longer on the Miami Heat.
This guy.
Oh man. Oof.
Dude, that's tough.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
I'm maxed out after Goran.
So wow. Well,
Unless his brother's on the team still.
Paul-
Zoran.
disappointed for not naming Andre Iguodala.
Oh, Iggy. Yeah. Wow.
God.
None? Anybody?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
There's the names right there, diehards. There's the names.
Gabe Vincent. Wow.
Dang.
Mo Markless, no love.
Oh,
Wow.
Mo. Sorry, Mo. I'll just say that.
Dang.
So that's the depth chart right there for the Miami Heat. Let's see. Y'all ready for the next squad?
Not really. But yeah.
Paul, you went first on that one?
Nah, I did.
No, Dylan went first.
All right, switch it up.
Oh, the clips. Who should I start with? Sweet Lou.
Why?
Kawhi. PG.
Ooh. Pat Bev.
Nice. They still got Reggie Jackson?
They do.
Okay. So,
Zubac.
ooh, the Zoobs. Nice. Luke Kennard, your boy.
Dang, I was gonna say it next. Ibaka.
Let's see who else is left in that starting group. Oh, Marcus Morris.
Dang. Batum.
Wow.
Oh, nice. All right, let's see. Bench mob. Who we got? Patrick Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Give
man.
me
He's
that.
still there. Oh, let's see.
Oh
Who
man.
else?
Good luck with these last four.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I feel like I know one more big. Can't think of it.
Damn.
Yeah, you got me. I don't think I can get anybody else, man.
This was hard for me.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
Terrence Mann. Mir.
Is that two different people? Mifondo and then come
No.
Big Nelly?
No,
I'm just
that's a long name.
Damn.
Wow, that was tough.
Yeah. Wow.
That was
I think that was definitely out after the last one they threw out.
You guys maxed out this roster right here.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Amir Coffee. All right.
Oh, man.
All right. You're first, I guess.
Utah Jazz.
Conley.
Hey, real quick, diehards, if you want to play this elimination game, go ahead and pause this or actually, you don't name half the pods. You can do it with these guys. Try to name all the players before we get to the stopping point to the end here. Last team of the night, Utah Jazz.
Who'd you say first? Conley?
I kicked it off with Conley, but I'm sure the
Okay.
comment section are yelling at us for all the easy names we're forgetting.
Donovan Mitchell.
Who?
Mr. Gobert.
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 Royce O'Neal.
Nice. Joe Ingles.
Yeah. Jordan Clarkson.
Is he there? Dang.
Oh, I'm trying to think this up.
Will Bynum? No.
Nope. Wow.
Damn.
I know.
Blast from the past.
Right? I know. I was like, dang.
Will Bynum, you got me, dude.
No, it was another dude I was thinking of. He might be on the Nuggets, Barton or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pistons on my brain, bro. Wow, Jazz. There's got to be another guy.
Tapping out.
Let me see. Yeah, that's disrespectful. I don't watch the Jazz, man. Not like that.
Bring it home for the win, Paul.
What you got, Paul?
George Niang.
Oh, man. How dare you? How dare you? Oh,
Yeah.
Bogdanovic. Now I think of it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Bogdanovic. Yeah. That's who I was missing, yeah, from the starting group.
What else you got?
Who else I got? Ooh.
He used to
He used to score?
he used to start for them.
For the Jazz? Oh, wow.
He's a big, right? I think that's what you're alluding to.
Oh, man.
Possibly.
Is Favors still there?
Yep, that's what.
That's who. That's the only other guy I might know.
Yeah,
Jeez.
That's
yeah,
it.
that's him. Yeah.
And then before I show you the depth chart, there's only a few names left, but do you know who they recently signed?
Oh.
Ersan.
Yep.
Ilyasova.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Nice.
Those are the names.
Juwan Morgan.
Wow.
Yeah, my bad, Bogdanovic. My
Yeah.
apologies. That's disrespectful.
Bojan.
Those are some good ones. Oh man. Hey, so now we know the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Clippers better than you know the best team in the National Basketball Association in 2021.
Story of the year. Look at the All-Star picks.
Oh man.
Isn't that what LeBron meant?
He didn't say anything wrong. Who okay, out of us three, who would pick the Jazz? Not just because we got bored and didn't want to use the other teams, but like who would actually pick the Jazz?
I picked Stockton Malone.
Stockton Malone. Any other Jazz team?
Oh hell no.
Exactly. That's what LeBron was saying.
Man. Yep. It's crazy.
Oh man, thanks for playing the elimination game, guys. That was fun. Diehards, hope you had a good time with that. Again, let us know. Do you think the Pelicans are gonna make a playoff push? None of us do. We have the Mavericks and the Warriors in as the final two seeds in the West. As for the Eastern Conference, we have the same two teams at the top, and I think you do as well. If you don't, you're probably in the minority there. We have either the Nets or the Sixers going to the finals. We didn't give you a team in the West, but maybe you'll have to catch us next time for that. We'll give you how we think the West will shake out. And the answer is probably going to be the Lakers, but hey, is what it is. But yeah, and then let us know your MVP candidates, top three. And then beyond that, why? Why do you have so-and-so number one? What do you look for in an MVP candidate? And And then we also went over the biggest surprise and biggest disappointments as far as teams through the All-Star break. Hey, we still have a stretch run to go. It's all good. We still have time for playoff pushes, MVP runs. And hey, I'm just excited. Hey, we might actually see New York make the playoffs again. We might see the Warriors get stormed back into the playoffs by Steph. Maybe there's a sleeping giant in the Mavericks if Luka gets his giant to stay in the lineup and KP. All right, guys, when all is said and done, who wins MVP?
Damn, straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah.
When all is said and done, who wins MVP? And we're out.
I'm sticking to my guns, MB.
Missing time, but sticking to it. All right.
Hey, fair enough. I can't even fault you with that, Paul. But Mr. Year 18, LeBron James will take it home.
All right. Well, that's what I got. We'll bring it home with 2 LeBrons out of 3 choices here. Embiid can do some Shaq-like things. I love Embiid under Doc Rivers. Let's hear your thoughts on that as well, diehards. We had a lot to talk about. So, I mean, you got a lot to type. Get to it. And we'll see you next time. We're out.